This past ISPCon seemed to put a greater emphasis on strengthening the bond between web hosts and ISPs. Part of the web hosting presence at the conference was to introduce more ISPs to the web hosting business. So we caught up with some industry experts and asked them what role ISPs play in web hosting and whether there's a particular segment of customers they're best suited to serving.
I've always felt that distinction was artificial between ISPs and hosters. If you're an ISP today and you're not seriously in hosting, it's the case that every one of your access customers that has web hosting has another service provider relationship. That's competition for you. That's a risk. That's somebody you're going to have to compete with to sell the next service. So any service provider who wants to own that customer relationship better be in hosting, better be providing a very high-end email service, great anti-spam, etc., etc. You know, no service provider today can really afford to pick and choose. Those things are point services, not complete solutions.
It's a natural for ISPs. They have today 44% market share of all the hosting, so they are a very strong aggregate contributor to hosting. It's a natural because they are great at the service model, they understand IP services, and they offer complementary services. Where small businesses typically look for this type of service is to an ISP. Hosting, they have to have it.
The ISP business has been very tough lately. It's tough to compete with a lot of the big players like Verizon, SBC, and I think that web hosting has always been a natural fit for internet service providers. So I think that a lot of them, if they don't already offer web hosting services, they have a lot of customers that are looking for that. So they can either look to build that from scratch, to go with some established software packages, maybe set up the servers and do that themselves, or our pitch here is that we're looking for ISPs to partner with us and to wrap our services into what they do. Everything that we do can be branded, private labeled, co-branded, however they want to work it out, and they can add a web hosting presence that's profitable, has almost no time to market, and they can get going right away and offer web hosting to their customers to increase their margin and to bundle services in that make their access product stickier and help them retain customers.
I think the ISPs are a really important part of growth in the hosting industry, and I think the hosting industry is actually very important to ISPs. Our start into hosting was one of sort of accident. It was one that we weren't really excited about being in that particular hosting business. However, it represented an excellent new revenue opportunity, and so our hosting business was able to grow to 4 or 5 times the peak size of our ISP business. Hosting for ISPs also adds longevity to the business model, and it gives them a slice of revenue that is perpetual in nature, as opposed to being based upon a technology turn of dial-up to DSL to cable modem, and not necessarily being able to participate in those revenue streams because of monopolistic actions of the ILECs and the cable companies.
See what's inside the current issue of WHIR magazine. In the shadow of the big brands, hosting in the voice-over IP landscape, plus more. Go to WHIR.com/magazine for more info.